Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel off? Not wrong, not broken, just quote unquote off. Like the puzzle pieces of the world don't quite fit the way you imagine they should. You watch people moving in a sync with a rhythm you don't hear. They speak a language you don't fully understand. And they tell you, adjust, conform, fit in. But what if you weren't meant to? What if, instead of being lost, you were simply ahead of your time? Think about it. History tells us the truth about people like you, the thinkers, the dreamers, the disruptors, those who challenge the norm, push against the grain, rewrite the rules. They were misunderstood, they were doubted, they were mocked, ignored, resisted. Not because they were wrong, but because the world wasn't ready for them yet. I hear you, but I need some examples. Okay, I got you. What about Nikola Tesla? He imagined wireless energy before the world even had radio. What about Frida Kahlo? She painted emotions people hadn't yet learned to name. Galileo was in prison for just suggesting that maybe the earth wasn't the center of the universe. Now, that point is back debatable in modern times, yet and still, you catch my drift. And that brings us to you. Yes, you. Stop idolizing these men and women of history. They're in the past. We're in the present now. And here you are with me, listening to me, who I feel that everything has divine timing. And the Lord has connected us for a reason. Maybe your ideas feel too bold. Maybe your dreams feel too big. Maybe you've been told to shrink them down, to fit inside a neat little box. Here on Unbox Your Life Live, this is the show. We don't like boxes. Maybe you've been told to be labeled acceptable and normal. I got one word for you. Don't. Don't shrink yourself just because others don't understand your vision. Because the truth is, you're not quote unquote off. You're simply ahead. And when you're ahead of your time, the world moves a little slower than your mind, your gifts, your talents, your anointings. That doesn't mean that you stop. That doesn't mean you give up. It means you lead. And I know, you didn't want this. You see, the world thinks you do, simply because you're gifted, you're talented, you're anointed. You know that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You don't have their insecurities, and they see that as an affront to their existence. Not understanding that your light is a flame. We are all candles, and your light is meant to light their light. If they would drop the envy and jealousy and simply epitomize, stop analyzing, criticizing, they should start realizing who you are and epitomize who the Lord has made you to be. And in doing so, they will see that you will lead them, not just as being a follower of yourself, but leaders create other leaders. And many times, you may be creating a leader greater than yourself. If they would humble themselves and realize who the Lord has made you to be, they will then see who the Lord has created them to become. But you didn't want this, despite what they think. You didn't ask for this. You chose to step out the shadows because you feel a pulling on your soul, a tugging on your heart to stand up and be bold, although you want to sit down and be timid and shut up. You think to yourself, who are you to lead? I'm different, right? I'm corny, I'm lame, I'm quote unquote off. But no, you watch them and you see that they give in to toxicity, to negativity, to gossip, to slander, to tearing others down instead of building them up, to bullying, right? They give in to their worst traits and they do not truly honor and love God as you do with their whole heart. This doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing it. This just means they're not doing it presently. And the Lord has called you to be a mirror to their worst sins. This does not mean that you are an angel. This does not mean you don't have your own flaws and weaknesses. But unlike them, you're willing to be open and honest with yourself, with God, and with your fellow man and heal. And all the Lord needs is a willing vessel. You are that willing vessel, flawed and all. You're not quote unquote off. You are simply ahead of your time. The Lord has called you to be the future here in the present. You see, before the future can come about, the future must meet the present. You are that present. You're here to lead them into the future. You are in the future. Your gifts, your talents, your anointings. You are in another dimension, operating on another level, another plane. And that's why they think you are quote unquote off, because to the inmate of an insane asylum, it is the same person who is insane. So imagine what they feel about a genius, a godsend such as yourself. I know you don't want it, despite what they say, but regardless, it has been given to you. One reason the Lord has made you before your time to be a leader, ready or not, is because you don't want it. You're humble. So now you're easier to lead. I don't know if you heard me. Because you are humble, God can truly, honestly, and authentically lead you. You seek His will and not your own, despite what they think. They are projecting onto you how they feel. They see you as they see themselves. You're not quote unquote off. You are ahead of your time. And I'm sure every leader will tell you, from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to Paul the Apostle, or any apostle, right? To King David of Israel, and of course, the most profound, prolific leader of them all, Lord Jesus, the Christ of Nazareth. It's not easy being a trailblazer, being ahead of your time, being considered quote unquote off. Being a real leader, it's lonely, it's frustrating, it's a path filled with resistance, silence, doubt. But if every visionary simply gave up, where would we be? Can you answer that for me? So with all that being said, if you feel like you don't fit in, like you stand alone, like the world hasn't caught up to you yet, keep going, keep dreaming, keep disrupting, keep praying. Because one day, maybe not today, I know you heard that before. Maybe not tomorrow, I know you heard that as well. But I promise you, because God has promised you, one day they will look back and realize you were never quote unquote off. You were ahead of your time and they were just late to catch up. So go forward boldly. You were meant to change the world, even if the world doesn't know it yet. With love, the man after God's own heart. Peace.